Alex, I'm going to be honest with you. I know we do it twice a year. I don't really understand daylight savings. I know we need it. I don't know what we need it for. Makes things darker. And then guess what? In 6 months, we make them lighter again.
Is that how that works? I thought it was
I don't
supposed
know.
to make things light year round. Right? Like I thought that
No.
like you lose. No, it makes it okay.
Well, because it's getting
apparently
dark.
I don't get it either.
It's
Apparently,
going
I
to
don't
get darker. And then guess what? In 6 months, we're going to make it lighter again.
You're just mad that you're going to lose an hour of sleep on Sunday? Is that
I'm just mad that I'm 20 years old and I still don't understand how this works.
Think about it this way. You're getting an extra hour that you wouldn't be sleeping, and you're 1 hour closer to watching football games on Sunday. That's how you got to think about it.
That's a pretty good way to think about it.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it like that.
I don't get it either. I mean, I'm sure that there is, we are of the age that we should know what daylight savings means. And the fact that we don't really understand what's going on. I thought it was to preserve the sunlight.
You know what's stupider, Alex? European countries don't do it. It's just us.
It's like the metric system.
Except we're cool for that.
Are we?
Yeah.
That's another subject.
Yeah, we're cool for that.
Okay. You like miles more than kilometers?
I just don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know why that. Why is there a difference? Why? Like, it just makes no sense to me.
Leave a comment down below if you know what a kilometer is.
Or if you know what daylight savings does.
True.
Apparently we don't.
We certainly don't. Anyways, Alex, did you watch the World Series the other night?
I didn't. No, I did. I didn't watch Game 4. I watched Game 3.
Did you stay up for all 18 innings?
I stayed up until like 2:30 in the morning watching one of the greatest World Series games I have ever seen, and one of the best World Series playoffs that I think we've seen in the MLB in years. Look, something that I just want to touch on with the MLB in particular this upcoming season is that the ESPN is losing their rights to the MLB this year.
Thank God.
Thank God. Because honestly, the media coverage for the MLB season this year has been absolutely abysmal. And every single MLB fan knows it out there that, like, you can't get a single post about anything that's going on in the ALS, in the NLS, like any of these playoff series. Like, you had to really search to find results, to find what was going on, versus like a random Tuesday basketball game, or 5 posts about the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Like,
yeah, let's talk about that anyway. ESPN is full of shit.
There was no media coverage.
I totally agree, because I watched Game 1 of the World Series, and I turned on Get Up the next morning, and I was expecting them to at least be talking about the World Series, and I watched for like a half hour. They had on 4 football commenters, and they were talking about college football, in which we're 9 weeks in. It was ridiculous.
I understand that if you're a college football commenter on Get Up, your repertoire is not the MLB.
No, that's not the problem. They're doing a great job.
You have to bring someone in. You have to bring someone in who knows what they're talking about with the sport. You have the rights to the sport. The argument has been that the MLB is a dying business. It's going out of business, right? Like, Rob Manfred has run this league into the ground. Revenue is saying the opposite. This year, viewership is up. Participation is up. Fan interest is up. People are super invested and engaged in this MLB season, and you guys are squandering the rights at ESPN by not posting about these teams. The only posts you ever get are about Shohei Ohtani, who has been fantastic. We're going to talk about him a little bit later. Correct. Who's not even in the playoffs, right? But like, the lack of media coverage overall for a lot of these small market teams like the Blue Jays from Canada, it's just been abysmal to watch. And I mean, honestly, I wish that there was more media coverage for things like the World Series, because this World Series and this MLB playoffs has been freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, no,
every single game has been great.
I could not agree more. And look, ESPN, I think part of their problem is their broadcast team sucks. Their coverage of baseball is horrible.
They don't understand it. They don't understand the game of baseball.
I don't like Carl Ravitch. I'll say it.
Okay.
I don't think he's a good commenter. Baseball's begging for Joe Buck, man. Look, I grew up not liking Joe Buck. I didn't like him on Fox, but when I think of playoff baseball, it's Joe Buck. It's got to be.
Yep,
but
I agree.
The guys who have stepped in at Fox have done a phenomenal job. Joe Davis and John Smoltz, I love hearing them call a game because they know what they're talking about.
Yep.
The pre and post game shows for both TBS and Fox are great. David Ortiz sitting in a studio with Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez bickering after every game is awesome for the game. People want to watch that. It's like watching the TNT crew. It really is for basketball. They're making the game fun. Look, I know that Shohei Ohtani is a generational player, and he's fun to watch, and every chance that you get to watch him, you should. With that being said, the broadcast last night was a Shohei slop fest.
Okay.
That's all they talked about. And there's two teams in the World Series, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
Yep.
And what the Blue Jays did last night, coming off an 18-inning game where you literally the Blue Jays played every single player on their roster. They emptied their bench.
Yep.
And then they came out against Shohei and won in Dodger Stadium to tie the series up. Now it's a best of 3, and they have home field advantage.
On top of
that's
that,
not being talked about in the national media, to your point.
On top of that, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is having one of the greatest playoffs in MLB history. He was hitting .450 going into the World Series. I have not seen one post about him, aside from maybe the Yankees lose when they beat the Yankees in the divisional. Like, how is that possible? How is that possible?
We got an at-bat last night where it was Vladimir Guerrero. Look, okay, before I get this far.
Yeah.
The baseball playoffs are about who gets hot at the right time. And the Blue Jays are smoking hot right now. As are the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, right? So it's proving that theory, right?
Yep.
Can money win, or is it really the hottest team in baseball? And now we have a best of 3 to figure that out.
Right.
We got an at-bat last night where it was the game's best player that they have ever seen in Shohei Ohtani versus the hottest hitter in the MLB in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And guess what? He took him yard. He took him yard. That is what you should be posting about. That's what we're going to be posting about, which is why you should tune into the corner office every week. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I feel like the media coverage about the MLB has been incredibly subpar from ESPN, and I think they're squandering an opportunity to show off. Like, you had an 18-inning game
that ended in a walk-off home run.
That ended in a walk-off from Freddie Freeman, his second walk-off in MLB playoff history. The one from last year.
The only guy to have 2 walk-off home runs in the World Series.
It's ridiculous. Shohei Ohtani was on base 9 times. He was intentionally walked 5 times. I don't know the last player that was ever intentionally walked that much. Barry Bonds?
No, the last guy who was intentionally walked 5 times in a game, I don't even know his name. It was from 1942.
Oh, my God. Like, it's ridiculous.
1942.
It's ridiculous to reach base 9 times in an inning. Yes, is the broadcast Dodger biased? 100%. Are there issues with the game? Like, was last night's game a little bit more boring than Game 3? I guess so, right? It was a 6-2 win for the Blue Jays. I can't even say that that's true.
Yeah,
but, like, where's the media coverage? Where is it? Because it's not on ESPN. It's not on SportsCenter. It's not on Bleacher Report. It's nowhere. You know, you have to go and find it if you're really an MLB fan, and that's a problem, in my opinion.
It's a real problem. And something that we haven't been talking about is the pitching has been. I know that these games are pretty high scoring. 6-2 last night. 18 innings to only have 3 runs.
Yeah.
Both teams pitched their entire bullpens.
Rotation.
The Dodgers found themselves in a bases loaded jam in the 11th inning, and they brought in Clayton Kershaw, one of the greatest pitchers ever, to pitch 1 out, and he got it. It was his second time appearing in the postseason, and he came in and got 1 out. That is the stuff you should be posting about. We are witnessing a classic World Series right now, and it's just not talking about.
Yeah.
It's just not being talked about.
It's crazy.
But Game 5 is tonight, and then they go back to Toronto. Look, the Dodgers are phenomenal. They got no problem winning on the road, but those Toronto fans are big. And this has been even. Home field advantage has proved that it hasn't been as big a deal maybe as it has in the past. So we have a best of 3. And, I mean, that is the spectacle right now. That is what people should be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it is the most interesting thing going on in like baseball right now. Like, this World Series has been fantastic. It's been the culmination of a fantastic World Series playoff. It's something that you wanted to see going in. It's a David versus Goliath story, kind of the same way that the NBA was Indiana versus OKC. Like, this is what it's all about. And I wish it was covered more. I wish there was more talked about. Like, baseball is having a late resurgence right now where it's re-engaging a population of people who, like, the media has been saying for years and years, like, they've lost the generations below them. They're going to MLB. They're going to NFL. They don't want to play They don't want to play, or they're going to NBA. They're going to NFL. They don't want to play baseball anymore. Like, I don't think that's necessarily true. And I think that, I mean, I can't say enough about how little media coverage there has been from ESPN this year and how happy I am that the rights to baseball are going someplace else where they're going to be, they're going to be valued, right? Like, there is
Absolutely.
going to be someone who gets baseball and they're going to do a fantastic job with it because that's what baseball deserves right now, especially with the stars in the game that they have right now. Like, Shohei Ohtani is potentially the greatest player to ever put a uniform on, right?
Yeah, and there's a whole group of young talent that's coming up and is going to be the next generation. They should be celebrated and covered because that's what they deserve. I know that we just said that all ESPN does is cover Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani. Paul Skeens is one of the greatest pitchers I've ever seen. He's one
Yep.
of the greatest talents I've ever seen. Yamamoto has 2 complete games this playoffs. That's
Mm-hmm.
something you don't see anymore. There's a
Right.
whole new generation of talent coming on, and I'm super excited at the possibility that they will be covered in the manner that they should be. Now, moving on, we have something fun for you today.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be drafting 5 Halloween costumes that you absolutely should not wear this weekend.
Yeah, Halloween's right around the corner. It's one of our favorite holidays. But it's fun. It's fun to theorize about what you might be seeing out on the town and probably what you shouldn't be seeing out on the town. I still maintain first pick for the NFL picks that we'll be doing a little bit later, which means that, Jack, you get to lead our draft off here. So take it away. Who would you not like to dress up with, or who are you going to dress up with for Halloween this upcoming Sunday, Saturday,
Friday.
Friday? Wow. Okay.
I am certainly not going to be dressing up as O.J. Simpson for Halloween this year. It's my number 1 pick.
Okay. Yeah, I probably wouldn't either.
Feels like the consensus 1-1 there. Don't go as O.J.
I wouldn't go with him either. Something that I would dress up with for Halloween here. I have a girlfriend. This is a little bit of a twofer here. So her and I will be dressing up as Skip and Shannon from Undisputed, as a little bit of a couple's costume. So that's my first pick there.
My second pick is I'm gonna probably not be going as Jaylen Brown's hairline.
Yes, very good pick. It's been rubbing off
Yeah,
on
I was
everyone.
gonna say you start the night with a perfectly fine costume, but by the time you get home, you're left with pretty much nothing.
Yep. That's a good pick. It's a good pick. I am going to be. I feel like we've gone 2 different directions here. You're going costumes that you don't like. I'm going costumes that I do like. Another one for those couples out there looking for something to happen. Chris Collinsworth and Patrick Mahomes couples costume. One
It's a
guy's
good
just
one.
going all night, and then Patrick Mahomes is like throwing dimes. Get a football out, all those types of things. It's better than your Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift basic one.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going with 5 that you definitely should not be wearing for Halloween this year. My my third pick is Tanya Harding's ex-husband.
Okay.
You should not be known as a guy who's just gonna beat kneecaps in all night.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't wear that one out. It would be a tough one to explain too, because you'd just be like a guy in a leather jacket with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So that one might be a little bit tough to get around. For costumes that are coming back, the Philly Fanatic is everywhere nowadays. I would probably wear that one out if I was you.
Yeah, if Spirit Halloween sold a Philly Fanatic costume, I'd probably buy it. This isn't my finest pick I've ever made.
Okay.
I think just as a rule of thumb, you should never go for Halloween as Donald Sterling's voice memos.
Oh. That's a deep cut.
Stay
It's
away
a really
from that.
deep cut. Yeah, I wouldn't wear that either. As a group costume idea, you could go as the inside the NBA crew. You need 3 guys that look like Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny, and then 1 guy who looks like Ernie. So 3 black guys and 1 white guy to really complete this couple's costume, or not group costume.
My last one is also a couple's costume, and it's pretty topical right now.
Okay.
It's Chauncey Billups and a stack of poker chips.
That's a good one. That one would be fun. So all 5 of Jack's I wouldn't go with. To wrap it up with one that I've heard that's going to be really popular this upcoming year is an Eli Apple costume. You could wear it from the Bengals, the Jets, whatever version of Eli Apple you want. We now have 5 costumes that you shouldn't wear and 5 costumes that, are back in rotation, it seems like. So enjoy, happy Halloween, and do not go to Halloween as Tanya Harding's ex-husband.
All right, should we get into the NFL this week?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I think the Patriots are not going to lose a game for the rest of the season.
It's a bold take.
I think they're going to run the table.
Okay.
Am I rage baiting? Absolutely, because the Patriots are good again. And the amount of people that have come forward to me and said, it's just your schedule, it's just that. We don't choose who we play. We play who's on the schedule. That's how it works. Do I actually think the Patriots are going to run the table? No. Am I going to include this in the Instagram clip? Also, no. Games that we could lose on the schedule, obviously, we got the Ravens, we got the Bills, and we have the Buccaneers. Those are 3 teams left on our schedule. Everyone else is pretty heavily below 500, especially if we're playing the Falcons this week, especially if they don't have Michael Penix. They looked horrible last week against the Dolphins.
Yep. I don't necessarily. Okay, no, keep going.
We just traded Kyle Duggar and Keon White.
Yes,
our
for a
7th round pick this year. Yep. That screams that we're moving up space for a wide receiver. I think that we're going to make a play. AJ Brown's unhappy. I'm just going to throw that out there. Chris Olave is probably on the chopping block.
Tyler Richardson, you hear that? AJ Brown's going to be a New England Patriot.
We have 24 hours to respond. I think we're about to make a big play at the deadline, and I'm excited to see who it is. We're moving up space, clearly.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to win every game for the rest of the season. I think that this upcoming week is kind of one that I'm like, I don't know if we beat the Atlanta Falcons. This feels like a game that we could lose. It feels like the Bengals game is one that we could lose. It feels like the Bills game, the Ravens game. Will this team be above 500? I 100% think so. I think they're going to be in the playoffs this year. It's just a question of will they be in the wild card or will they maintain the control of the AFC East? And obviously, they have a much easier schedule, I think, than the Buffalo Bills do going forward. Like you said, we don't pick our schedule, but the fact of the matter is the Patriots already have a 1-game lead over the Bills, right? So they need to continue to maintain that going into the end of the season here. And Drake May has continued to play MVP caliber football. As much as it was kind of
right now.
Right. As much as it was kind of a joke when we were like, okay, Drake May may be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. It's kind of panning out that way right now. He's clearly separated himself this year from Jaden Daniels, who's been battling a ton of injury concerns. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And he seems like he's being the best player out of that draft class so far in his second year, right? Like, you're seeing a lot of flashes from a lot of guys. Caleb Williams looks good. Jaden Daniels obviously showed it last season. Drake May, Bo Nix, all 4 of those guys have been really good quarterbacks. Michael Penix, even to an extent, he's been inconsistent, but you've seen the flashes. But from a consistency standpoint, and now the way that he's just been making at least one throw every week where you're like, that is an A1 quarterback throw. Like, that is a tough throw to make. He stands in the pocket. He can deliver a pass. Like, he broke the completion percentage record for the Patriots a few weeks ago, right? Like, all these types of things, they seem to be clicking on all cylinders. And I think you can officially say now that, like, last season's failures were a little bit more on Gerard Mayo than anything else. Mike Rabel has clearly come in, reestablished, reinvented this defense. And despite the fact that Drake May was sacked 5 times by Myles Garrett last week,
that's impressive.
They still won. What was it, 30-15, right? So this team has been dominant. I don't know how long Myles Garrett's going to stay in a Cleveland Browns jersey. I would keep an eye out for him requesting a trade potentially soon. But yeah, I've been super impressed with how the Patriots have played thus far. That being said, I mean, there are a lot of teams right now in the NFL that you have a lot of questions about. Are these teams frauds? Are these teams for real? So I'm just going to roll a couple off of you and get your initial take, and then we'll dive a little bit more into it if that's cool with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. This team is 7-1 going into this week. Jonathan Taylor is coming off probably, he's got 3 or 4 games this season with 3 or more touchdowns. He's been fantastic this year. Is this team fraudulent or are they for real?
This team's for real. And I think that my definition of for real is could probably win a playoff game. This team's probably going to win a playoff game. They're very good. They look sound both offensively and defensively. And something they do is they just keep their foot on the pedal. They
Yep.
could be up 25. They're still going to go down and score touchdowns. And I love that. But, if you're going to beat a team, you might as well kill them. Good teams
Mhm.
win, great teams cover. The Colts have consistently been covering. I think they're for real.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's resurgence this season has been something to watch. He has 12 touchdowns through the first 7 weeks of the NFL, 8 weeks of the NFL season. I mean, that's been fantastic to watch. Another team here, the Kansas City Chiefs, are they frauds or are they for real? I mean, they played some really good football these past weekends. We kind of predicted that. Probably will win the AFC West. Are they Super Bowl contenders or are they not?
Yeah, the Chiefs are good, and they're
Okay.
probably going to win the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. We know how this game goes.
Yeah.
They're probably going to win the Super Bowl. They look incredible. They're for real.
Mm. Okay. Another team, I mean, you talked about it a little bit earlier. Kirk Cousins had to fill in this last weekend. Are the Atlanta Falcons frauds or for real? And does it matter who's playing at quarterback for them?
I think absolutely it matters who's playing at quarterback for them. If it's Kirk Change, they're frauds. If it's Michael Penix Jr., I still think they're frauds, but not for very long. I think they got one more year being frauds, and then they're for real.
Okay. We talked about the Unk Bowl last weekend between Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. The Cincinnati Bengals dropped a game this week to the New York Jets, one that they should have won, had in the bag. Is this team frauds or are they for real?
The Bengals are frauds.
Okay.
They are frauds. They lost to the Jets last week. They are frauds.
Is that just because of the defense? I still think that this offensive production is pretty fantastic from this team.
Absolutely, it's because of the defense. You can't expect 38 points wins almost every game in the NFL, but
Almost
it
every
lost
game.
this one. How does
And
it lose this one?
they were up 2 scores. They were up two
Yeah.
scores going into the fourth quarter. I mean, Aaron Glenn gets his first win. We'll talk about that team a little bit later. The last real team that I want to talk about being either a fraud or for real, actually, I have two more. But second to last team here, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is this team a fraud or are they for real?
The Pittsburgh Steelers are for real going to go 9-8 this year.
Okay. As everyone kind of predicted. They looked really good in the first half against that Packers team. I just don't think that they have the firepower. They're sitting atop the AFC North, which is going to be a dogfight going down to the wire here. 4-3 Steelers, 3-5 Bengals, 2-5 Ravens. Who's going to come out on top of that division? We don't know yet. Somehow the Ravens are still alive, and this is another team that I want to bounce off you. Is this team a fraud or are they for real when they have Lamar back and they're healthy?
When they have Lamar Jackson, they're for real, but until then, they're definitely fraudulent. They are just, they beat the Bears last week with Tyler Huntley. That was
Yep.
a big momentum win. They've
Yep.
officially got the ping pong tables out of the locker room per request of Lamar Jackson. That screams for real for me. I still think this team can go on a heater and win some games.
Okay. And my final team here I have is the San Francisco 49ers. They have played with Mac Jones at quarterback for a few weeks now. Obviously, their defense is a little bit banged up. They're still sitting in a decent position in the NFC. Is this team a fraud or are they for real?
I haven't seen anything from this team that makes me believe that they're for real.
Okay.
I'm not very confident in them. I'm going to go with frauds on the 49ers.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the NFC West is really talented this year. You have Seattle in the 1 seed. LA is in the 2, and then obviously the 5-3 49ers are there in the 3. But I think I would have to agree with you here. I don't think I've seen enough from the 49ers to say that they're a for real team.
Yeah. Let's finish talking about these games last week because we have a couple.
Okay.
You talked about Baker blowing his MVP case last week.
Yep.
Against the Lions. It felt like
Yep.
he kind of didn't play to his standard that he set this season again this week.
Nope. I think that's true. I mean, look, the Bucs were always going to come out and beat the Saints. The Saints team in particular has a huge issue at quarterback right now. Spencer Rattler has not played well. He's thrown interceptions in like 3 of his last 4 games. I want to say they have Tyler So coming off the bench, who's 26 years old as a rookie, which is pretty ridiculous. Alvin Kamara hasn't looked like himself this year. They haven't been throwing the ball to Chris Olave. This offense just isn't clicking. And despite the fact that Baker Mayfield was held to only 152 passing yards in this game, through, guys like Chase Young on this New Orleans Saints defense playing really well, they just never stood a chance. You know what I mean? Like this Tampa Bay team was just too good. And despite the fact that I think Baker has like kind of shown a little bit of like a lack of confidence in these past 2 weeks, I think that Lions game really was the first one where he seemed to be completely overmatched. You're just hoping that this doesn't skid into a completely a week in, week out thing. And I think it's good that the Bucs got a win in a game that Baker didn't play well, but they're going to have to completely step it up against the Patriots when they play them next, coming off of a bye. So I think that this bye week will be big for them. A little bit of a mental reset for Baker and this offense. And, they'll know that this level of play is not good enough if they want to beat high caliber teams.
Agreed. Another team that stuck out to me, Bills won 40-9, I believe. Came off
Yep.
that bye week just like we thought they were going to, and absolutely rolled the Panthers, handing them their first loss at home. We don't have to talk about the Panthers. They're exactly what we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills,
I think they're a little better than we thought they were.
No, I agree, but
But
they performed to the level that we thought that they would, and now they have Andy
Yep.
Dalton at quarterback.
Yep.
I would say this Bills team is for real. And they are starting to look like the team that we hoped that they would. I think this bye week was good for them, and I would expect them to be dominant in their next couple of games. Obviously, they have a tough one against the Chiefs this week. And Alex, to be honest with you, I don't know who we're rooting for. I don't know if I can bring myself to root for the Chiefs, but also a Bills loss could be huge for the Patriots. So
agreed.
So, I mean, this week's going to be a tough one. If they win this week, then they are officially in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think that this week is a big week for the Bills. I think that whenever they play the Chiefs, it's a big deal because, the Chiefs have obviously had so much playoff success against the Bills in these past 6 years, where the Patriots have kind of been a non-factor. Do I expect them to go out and win? You'll have to stick around to find out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I am excited to watch this game, and I do think that the Buffalo Bills came out and did that thing where, like, sometimes they don't play convincingly with Josh Allen, right? Like, they kind of coast through games. They don't necessarily establish themselves, and then in games against really good teams, they kind of get exposed in that way. This is one of those games where it was like, that's why Josh Allen was the MVP last year, right? They just came out and absolutely stomped the Panthers. I think they took it off like CBS live broadcast in like the third quarter, right? They were like, please go watch any other game that's going on right now. You don't need to watch this absolute beating. And yeah, I think that the Bills are a legitimate threat to the Patriots this year, and same vice versa, right? Obviously, but when the Bills are clicking, they are the best team in the AFC East. I think that's probably going to reign true here. Will they beat the Chiefs? That's a conversation for a few minutes from now.
And the last team that we're going to talk about from last week, the Broncos went out and just absolutely stomped on the Cowboys. And we've been look, I was the first guy to say it. I thought the Cowboys were going to win that game. And the Broncos had been winning, but it was not in convincing fashion.
Correct.
They went out and they stomped the Cowboys. Was that because the Broncos are good, or was it because the Cowboys suck?
I think it was a mix of both. I think, one, the Cowboys defense is chopped cheddar. Like, you can literally throw for whatever you want on this team. You can get anything that you want if you are an opposing offense. Like, the Broncos are not a fantastic offense, in my opinion. I think their wide receiver one is like Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
And I mean, Bo Nix had 4 total touchdowns in this game, right? I think 2 passing, 2 rushing. J.K. Dobbins had 111 yards on the ground, right? Like, Dak Prescott didn't throw a very good football this weekend. I mean, the secondary for this Broncos team is one that we've talked about as being high class in the NFL for a few years now. But the fact of the matter is that this Cowboys team, when their offense isn't clicking, they're going to need to score more than 35 points a game in order to win, because this defense is just so bad. It's got so many holes.
Yeah, they're just like the Bengals, in my opinion. Same
From the
amount
Broncos,
of offensive talent, same amount of defensive talent.
Yeah, from the Broncos' perspective, though, I think that if Bo Nix plays like this, they're a very good football team. Their roster construction works out to where, like, they're going to have to be, competing against other teams in the AFC West. That does come down to them beating the Kansas City Chiefs when they play them later on this year. I don't necessarily think that they can do that. But, they have guys like Troy Franklin, like Cortland Sutton, who can make a play. Evan Ingram is your tight end. And then you're banking on J.K. Dobbins staying healthy. He's looked good so far. I mean, I don't know necessarily if you can count on him not blowing out an ACL, right? Because that's kind of been the story of his career, unfortunately. And then you have RJ Harvey coming off the bench, right? Who probably played his best game as a rookie this season against the Cowboys. So are they legitimate? It's hard to see any of these wins that they have as like super big resume builders. I just think the Cowboys are continuing to fade in this NFC East.
Yeah, no, I agree with with pretty much everything you said.
Let's move on. A big week for the Capri Pants community.
Clap it up for the Capri Pants community. You guys are out there. It's been a rough few weeks for the Capri Pants community.
Yeah. Both the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets get a win last weekend. The Dolphins looked really good. The Jets looked like they were playing the Bengals.
40 points they had.
Yeah, I know. I think Tua threw for 5 passing touchdowns,
Yep.
which is like the first time he's done that in a really long time. So when we talk about this coaching hot seat update, um, does this have a stay of execution effect on Mike McDaniel and Aaron Glenn? Getting this one win, is that going to carry them through the rest of the season, or just carry them to the end of this season?
I don't think Mike McDaniel will stay until next season. I think if Aaron Glenn can get another win or maybe 2, then he's earned another season as the head coach, to be honest with you.
Okay. Okay.
I
I mean, look, we had Bengals Jets as our not game of the week last week. It was the most entertaining game of football that played.
Yeah, it was a bad slate of games, and
Yep.
who thought that the worst game would have been the best one to watch? Not me. Certainly not you.
We certainly didn't think that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
certainly didn't think that. So if you had to say stay or go for Mike McDaniels and Aaron Glenn, you don't have to package them up. You can just say one individually, but Mike McDaniels first.
Is this by the end of the season or
By the end of the season now? I think at this point you're not firing your head coach. I think that we are past that mark in the NFL season where you're probably going to wait until the end of the season in order to fire somebody. So Mike McDaniel or Aaron Glenn staying or going at the end of the season.
Mike McDaniel goes, and I think Aaron Glenn stays.
Okay. Let's move on then. Kevin Stefanski, he had a really convincing win the other week. Quinshon Judkins probably played his best game of football for this Browns team that he's played so far. And then the Patriots come in, and obviously, like, this defense has been one of the best defenses in the NFL. We've talked about it. I think they were the number 1 scoring defense going into this game. And they just ran into a team that was better than them, right? This Patriots team is able to put up a bunch of scores. And the fact of the matter is, the defense didn't even play that bad, right? We highlighted Myles Garrett's 5 sacks. Like, this defense has a lot of really good pieces. Their offense is just not able to put the ball in the end zone. You obviously have a rookie quarterback, right? And you were able to beat rookie running back. You were able to beat the Dolphins 31-6. Is that enough of a win to keep Kevin Stefanski in the driver's seat? Or do you think that he will be parting ways with the Browns by the end of the season?
I think Stefanski stays. I think Dylan Gabriel goes. I don't think they stick.
Do you think he gets traded, or do you think that Shador comes in and just takes over that starting role? And when do you see that happening? Right? Because it feels like Dylan Gabriel was given 4 games. You think neither?
I think neither happens. I think if you're going to see Shador, it will be by the end of the season. But to be honest with you, I think they just go actually draft a legitimate quarterback coming out of this next class.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's talk about a team that's near and dear to your heart. This is your second team in the NFL this year. Dan Quinn has not led the Washington Commanders back-to-back successful seasons here. Obviously, they were in the NFC Championship game last year, and they battled a ton of injuries this season, but they're sitting at 3-5 in the NFC East. This team has not looked like they've played convincing football. I think Marcus Mariota has now started as many games as Jaden Daniels has for this team. But all those things being said, like, does this blame go back to the head coach if they need a scapegoat? I don't think it's the right decision to fire Dan Quinn, but do you think that he will get the nod this upcoming season?
I think Dan Quinn stays. They've been through hell. They've been through coaching hell. They went Jay Gruden, Riverboat Ron. They've just had bad coaches. I think they stick with him and give him at least 1 more year to figure it out.
Okay. And you're hoping that this team is healthy by the end of the year and can potentially rattle off some wins here, because the NFC East is going to be a contended division, despite the fact that the Eagles have kind of separated themselves as the best team coming out of there. A team that's been an absolute disaster since week 1 is not the Oakland Raiders. I always want to say Oakland Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll at the helm. They've looked really bad. They got absolutely embarrassed by the Chiefs 2 weekends ago. They're coming off a bye this week. They're going to play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pete Carroll seems to either have lost it or this team just isn't good enough. All of these things culminate in the question of, does Pete Carroll get fired this upcoming season, or do they stick with him because they just hired him?
I think they stick with Pete Carroll just because he's such a coaching legend.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Another question:
fire him after 1 season.
Does Pete Carroll retire?
I think that's more likely than him being fired. He's pushing 80 years old.
Yep.
So he's old, but I don't think they fire him. I don't think you can fire a coach with such a great resume as Pete Carroll has. But this team is horrible. I mean, he walked into the fire. It felt like he was doing the ownership group a favor by taking this job in the first place.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't think they fire him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he retired again after this.
Okay. Another coach coming out of this AFC here, we have the Bengals head coach Zach Taylor out of the AFC North. This team is sitting at 3-5. Obviously, they battled a ton of injuries. But the fact of the matter is that this team's defense has been bad for years. There's been nothing really roster construction wise to fix that. Is that eventually going to go onto the head coach or onto the GM? I think that those questions need to be asked when it comes to Zach Taylor. Do you expect him to be fired or hired by the end of the season?
I think Zach Taylor does not make the player decisions. He doesn't choose who he wants to sign. He just is
Okay.
given these players. But he's also been pretty consistently disappointing since they went to the Super Bowl in
Mm,
2021.
mm.
I would not be surprised if he was fired, but I don't think that they fire him.
Okay.
Mainly
Okay.
because it seems like Joe Burrow really likes him, and that's who you're building around.
Right. Right. And I think that they just have to shore up the defense as they have had to do since they made the Super Bowl in 2022, right? Like
Yeah.
they've had 4 years to do it and they just haven't been able to. So when will that become a priority in Cincinnati? We'll have to figure it out. Brian Daboll has been on the hot seat since the start of the year. Obviously, Cam Scatterbo goes down with a season-ending injury, an ankle sprain, or not an ankle sprain, an ankle dislocation that was pretty disgusting to watch on live
That
TV.
was bad.
He's had some success under Jackson Dart at the helm here, but obviously the injuries, this team just not clicking, like whatever it is. I mean, they just let up a completely huge loss to the Broncos where they're up 19 points in the fourth quarter. Like there have been flashes of good football from Jackson Dart. There have been flashes of good football from this team, but is that enough to keep him around for another season? Since he's been here since the Daniel Jones days, like I think he's been the head coach there for 5 or 6 seasons now, and I think he's been to the playoffs once. So
They've had a winning record once.
do you think that Brian Daboll's time has run out in New York, or do you think he will still be the head coach?
It feels like the time to move on from him. You've
Okay.
lost your running back piece that you're incredibly hopeful for
Hmm.
the rest of the season. You have a rookie quarterback. It doesn't necessarily have the greatest rapport with this coach yet. I think
Yep.
if you're going to fire him, it is the time to do so. Get a completely fresh slate if you're going to do it. I don't think Malik Neighbors likes him very much. You have a young core. Actually,
Mm.
you're pretty promising for the first time in a very long time. Feels like the time to get rid of Dable and bring a new face in there.
Final team here. I have Jonathan Gannon from the Arizona Cardinals. I think they've dropped 5 straight games going into this season here. They are pretty good against the spread, like you mentioned before. I mean, you mentioned off camera. You didn't say it to the people. But this team has been just overall pretty disappointing. You were expecting a big breakout this year from Marvin Harrison Jr. It just hasn't really come. Is that on the quarterback? Is that on the player? That could be discussed. Kyler Murray has obviously missed a lot of time. Jacoby Brissett has been behind center a bunch. Trey McBride continues to be a really good player, but like I think that this team has been disappointing on all levels. And in a conference that has been super competitive this year, the Arizona Cardinals have been the only team that standed out as being the weakest link in this NFC West, and I just don't expect them to get over 500 this season. Do you expect the Arizona Cardinals to part from Jonathan Gannon this upcoming offseason?
It does feel like one of those coaching situations where he's going to get fired and no one's going to care about it. Since the day he
Hmm.
was hired, he's felt like one of those guys who was
Yeah.
going to spend a couple years in a system and then get fired, right? Like,
Yep.
I think that was kind of what it was always going to be. I think Gannon's gone at the end of the season.
Okay. Okay, that wraps up our coaching hot seat for this week. We will check in next week and have a little bit more of an update here. Maybe something fun will happen between now and then. But to be honest with you, I mean, it's always good to check in and see like what's going on in the NFL when it comes to coaches. And now it's time to get to our favorite part of the week, our picks segment. We both went 3-2 last week, which was another big stay for both of us. We're making a defensive stand when it comes to who's going to take the reins of first. I maintain first position. I think I'm up 22-21 in
Yes, you
picks
have a
right
1
now.
point lead, and we are at the halfway point of the year.
We are at the halfway point.
It's to be
So
honest
this
with
is
you, it's a lot closer than I thought it would be. It's our first year actually keeping track. We've been having a
yep.
ton of fun with it. Picks right now matter. They
Yeah.
seriously matter. We have a dogfight going on.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to continue that going into this upcoming week. So here we go. We're gonna talk about our picks as per usual. Since I won last week, or not even last week, I don't know the last time I won, but since I am in the lead, I maintain that I get to pick first. So my first pick here that I'm going to be making is Dallas -2.5 over Arizona. We just talked about both these teams and both these defenses. I just simply think that this Dallas Cowboys team is better than this Arizona Cardinals team, who continues to skid. I expect that Dallas will have a big win against a bad secondary in Arizona, and I would expect Dallas to win by more than 3 points.
Yeah, I think Dallas has a bounce back win too. My first pick, I know I just said that they're frauds. I got the Niners -2.5 over the Giants. I think that they are good enough to beat the Giants, especially without Cam Scatterboo. He's kind of been their safety blanket. No Malik Neighbors. They're really shaken up. I like the Niners -2.5 this week.
I think that's the right pick. I didn't see that one when I made my first choice. I think Brock Purdy's also back for this Niners team, which
Kyle
probably would make a
Shanahan said that
difference.
it's not a long shot for him to play this week, which means that we're still questionable, but it looks like he may.
Okay. I mean, even if he doesn't play, you still have the Kendrick Bourne, Mac Jones connection
Sure
in the
do.
49ers uniforms. My second pick here, I'm going to take Denver +1.5 over Houston. Look, this Houston Texans team has seemingly figured it out a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but I think that the best team that they're going to see in a little while is this Denver Broncos team. This is a big test game for both these teams, in my opinion. If Denver gets a win, I think that you could potentially say that they're starting to establish themselves as a higher end team in the AFC. And if Houston gets a win, that's a big resume boost for them as they continue to try and fight their way back to, I mean, they're going to have to catch Indianapolis, but they could potentially get into a wild card spot. That being said, I think that Denver gets it done, and I'm surprised that they are favored, or
I was
that
going to
Houston
say,
is
this is
favored
an
to win.
interesting game to me. It must be played at Energy Stadium in Houston,
Yeah.
but even then, Denver doesn't feel like they're a 1.5 game underdog, especially they're
hmm
on a 3-game heater, maybe 4-game heater right now. So I'm a little shocked about that line, but obviously no Patrick Surtain. He went down with an injury last week, so that's
Correct.
big.
Correct. But
Um,
Nico Collins hasn't been playing, so will he play this upcoming week? It's a big
it's a good
question.
question. Uh, there's a lot of big lines in the NFL this
Yep.
week. There's a
Yes,
lot
there
of
are.
heavy favorites. We're all over it. Detroit Lions coming off a bye week, -9.5 over the Minnesota Vikings. I think they smoke the Vikings, -9.5. Lock it in.
All right. That's a good fun pick. I also have a fun pick here. I really don't feel that good about it, though. I have Carolina +13.5 against Green Bay. I think that they cover the spread with Andy Dalton at QB. This one could come back to bite me in the ass. They might lose by 50. But that being said, I think it's all in good fun here. And obviously, I hit on my Cincinnati Bengals one that I took at a similar line here. So I'm feeling pretty confident going into the big line here. And Green Bay hasn't been doing super well of covering spreads recently, so I think that Carolina could get this done.
Yeah, it's a big spread. That's definitely a fun pick. I've got an equally as fun pick. Some people might be saying, hey, Jack, 14.5 points is a lot, and I'm not going to argue with you. But the New Orleans Saints have officially said goodbye to the Spencer Rattler era. They're starting their rookie quarterback this week, I believe. I think the Rams, who are 5-2 against the spread this year, beat them by 14.5.
Okay, that's a big spread.
It's
It's a very big spread.
it's a big
But
spread.
Tyler So is the head quarter or the starting quarterback for
And who
this
knows? He
Rams
could
team.
go in there and light it up. It is really a risky pick, but the Rams are also coming off a bye week, and they're going to be
Yes.
rested.
Agreed. So I think that that's not a bad pick in the grand scheme of things. Game of the week this week was obvious. It has to be Bills Chiefs. This is the one that everyone will be tuned into. A battle for probably the team that you would expect to come out of the AFC this year, as it has been for the past few years. Who do you have, Bills versus Chiefs here?
I'm going to go with the fan perspective here.
Okay.
I'm going to say the Chiefs are going to win.
Okay.
That way, if they win, then I am happy that the Patriots have a chokehold on, or at least maintain their lead on the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that my pick hit. And if the Bills win, then I'm happy that the Chiefs lost. So it's a bit of a win-win here for me. I'm going to take the Chiefs. And it might be the first time I've ever taken the Chiefs on this show.
This will be a hate watch from like every perspective of the word.
Absolutely.
The best case scenario for this game will be for it to end in a tie for us.
Yeah, seriously, in like from a non-biased perspective or from a Patriots fan perspective, the best thing that can happen is this game doesn't happen. is that we completely get a new schedule for this 1 week.
Yeah, they just bombed the stadium. I'm going to go with the Bills here then. If you take the Chiefs, I'm going to go with the Bills. I feel like we've been pretty chalk with our picks for game of the week and not game of the week. I think it's a little bit more fun when we have some parity, so I'm going to take the Bills because I'm expecting that we're both going to take the same team for not game of the week, which is obviously Jaguars versus Raiders, two teams that have looked bad in the past few weeks. What do you think going into this game, Jags or Raiders?
Jags are coming off a bye week and the Raiders suck. I'm taking the Jaguars.
Okay, same with I'm with that. I'm with that.
I've got something to say real quick, by the way. This has
Yep.
nothing to do with football. Those are our picks for the week. I've got a couple friends from the South, and they say Jaguar. That's not how the word is pronounced. I understand that there's like some differences in like geographic, how you say certain words. It's like pronouncing the state of Oregon. It's just not how it's pronounced. It's just not right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know these people, but I'm sorry that happened to you, I guess. I mean,
If you say Jaguar and you're listening to the show, thank you. You say it wrong.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, we will not be watching this game regardless of how it goes.
Hell no.
I wish it was at 9 a.m. and in London so that I could have an excuse to not wake up that early. But that is our not game of the week, and those are our picks for this upcoming week. You will stay tuned. They will be posted. I'm sure that they will be up when they happen, right? Like we always get a post up for the end of week here. So let's move into the NBA though. I mean, this is something that's happened over the past few weeks, is that we've tried to integrate a little bit more NBA talk because the season has started. We are 4 games into the NBA season here. And it's been super fun so far. A lot of things that like I wasn't necessarily expecting have happened. A lot of things that I was expecting have happened. But first and foremost, I think when you're talking about the NBA, you have to talk about the fact that if you are not watching Victor Wembanyama right now, you need to turn on your TV. Yeah. If you're an NBA fan, a basketball fan, watch this guy play basketball. Buy League Pass to watch this guy play basketball.
It's worth it.
We have never in the history of the league seen a player that can do what he does. He has guard skills as a 7'5" big. He has more blocks individually right now than 25 teams in the NBA. 25 teams in the NBA. He is the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, and he is top 5 for MVP voting. I mean, we're 4 games in, obviously.
We're going to overreact. We are.
We're going to overreact. This is the most statistical anomaly of a player that I have ever seen. In every single game, there are 3 or 4 plays that he makes that you go, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Like seriously, like you cannot go a game without watching. I watched game 1 with 2 of my friends. And I was sitting in their dorm room and we're like, okay, Wemby has the ball. What's he going to do here? He drives down the lane, reverse hammers it on a guy. And then a half later, he hits a triple step back on Derek Lively, who's 7'2", right? Like the things that he is doing right now are absolutely ridiculous. This Spurs team is super fun to watch. They have 2 really young, really good guards in Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, who they just drafted. Harrison
they still
Barnes
have De'Aaron
veteran
Fox
presence.
Coming back.
Correct, and they may not even need him. They might trade him.
They might.
Right? Like, but if you haven't watched Victor Wembanyama play yet, you need to start because every single time he touches the ball, something fantastic could happen, and that's just an unbelievable thing to talk about.
Absolutely, and he's here. We've been waiting since he was drafted for him to officially arrive in the NBA, and we knew that it was going to take a couple of years. On tip-off of year 3 for him, you knew that he had arrived. It took
he had 40 and 15.
It took a quarter of basketball to be like, okay, he's here. We talk about fun basketball a lot. We're going to talk about fun basketball more, and we all have different definitions of it. A universal definition of fun basketball is Victor Wembanyama, and it's not even just him. I would watch him on the Portland Trailblazers, but 100%. The team that he's playing with is also super fun and would be fun without him.
Yep.
The Spurs are must-watch basketball, and I have not said that in 10 years. It's time to watch the Spurs. It's time to watch Victor Wembanyama. He's officially here, and look, part of the NBA season being back is that we get to overreact. This is not an overreaction. They're officially here. And they're going to be super fun. I cannot wait to watch him versus Chet Holmgren this year.
Right. They're 4-0 right now. They're sitting at 4-0. This is their best start in, I think, a decade, like you said. And this team is just so interesting. It just took Wemby like hanging out with Shiloh and Monks and like, working with Hakeem Olajuwon and doing all these things in the offseason to make him into the player that he is. Please watch him because seriously, like we don't know when this is going to end. Unfortunately for guys his size, like it is hard to stay healthy. We wish him all the best. Can he do that? We really hope so. But like you need to watch Victor Wembanyama play. Like it is something that I'm going to be telling my kids about, right? Like, oh, remember when he was in the league? Like that's seriously like how I feel about this player. And some of the most incredible and unbelievable games that I have ever watched in the NBA have came watching this guy play. And he's only been in the league for 3 years, right? So every opportunity I get, I'm going to watch Victor Wembanyama play basketball.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some overreactions.
Okay.
Number one, the Mavericks aren't working. These are official corner office statements, by the way, all of these.
Yep.
The Mavericks do not work, and Cooper Flagg's potential will not be recognized in the current role that he has with this team. True or false?
I think that's true. I would love to get George back on the show soon to talk a little bit more about Mavericks basketball when we have the chance. The fact of the matter is that they're trying to slot Cooper Flagg into the role of a traditional point guard. What they're really trying to do is they're trying to make Cooper Flagg into Luka Doncic. Guess what? You traded Luka Doncic. You can't replicate the thing that he brought. Cooper Flagg is not a point guard. He is better off the ball than he is on the ball. And maybe potentially down the line in a few years, you could develop him into your primary ball handler. He doesn't have a tight enough handle right now. He can't navigate ball screens. He's not a good enough playmaker. And it doesn't put him in the best position to realize his potential with this Mavericks team. Anthony Davis in the paint is clogging things up. Derek Lively is not as much of a lob threat as he was. And obviously, when Kyrie Irving comes back, I think that some of these issues become mitigated because you're not going to have to start a guy like Ryan Nembhard, who is who is a rookie coming out of the draft this year. But like seriously, like if you want Cooper Flagg to be Rookie of the Year this year, you need to get him off the ball and get him in situations where he can play in transition and do these things where he doesn't have to initiate the offense because he is best when he is playing off ball defensively and off ball offensively. He doesn't have a fantastic 3-point game. He's not a fantastic playmaker. He doesn't have a great handle. He's not Luka Doncic. He's not a playmaker, right? So like at this point in his career, he's still super raw. And I feel like he's just losing his confidence because he's been turning the ball over so much. And that's completely because of the way that Jason Kidd has drawn up the offense for him. And I don't know. I feel like they're trying to mold him into a player that he's not right now. And the rush is going to take away from his overwhelming potential.
I think that's exactly
he's still 18 years old.
That's exactly the right thing, right? All of those things that you just said. He's not a playmaker. He doesn't have a tight enough dribble. He doesn't have a 3-point shot yet. That is the key
Correct.
word. He doesn't have it yet. So I totally think that he can develop into this role, and I'm super optimistic to see what he can do about it.
But the whole point
it's
of
not
the Luka
going to
Doncic
happen
trade
right now. We just talked about it with Victor Wembanyama. He was the last generational talent that we had come into the NBA, and Cooper Flagg is this year's generational talent.
Yeah,
but you can't rush him into the role. It's going to take him some time. And all you're doing is setting these lofty expectations for him when he obviously doesn't exceed them because it's his 4th game in the NBA and he's 2 years younger than we are. He's just going to get negative publicity and his confidence is going to drop. And the best thing that you can do for him right now is get him confident in an NBA setting.
I think the major difference between Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg in this scenario, though, are that Wemby went into a team that had no one. Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell were probably the best 2 players on that roster. Cooper Flagg got drafted to a team that was a contender last year, or was supposed to be a contender this year, right? Like with a guy who was an all-NBA player like Anthony Davis, with guys like Kyrie Irving, who, again, is going to miss a lot of time. Klay Thompson's on this roster. PJ Washington, a very solid, role piece in the league. Derek Lively, who had a really good second season last year. And they brought him in because of 1, his defensive versatility, and 2, his ability to play in the college basketball system at the fact that like he was a super young piece. I don't necessarily think that his fit is the best of any of the teams that could have drafted him.
Agreed.
And I don't think that he was, I think that probably Dylan Harper fits a little bit better with this Mavericks team, but you couldn't pass on Cooper Flagg, in my opinion. You had to take him. But if you're expecting him to step in and play like Luka played, where he was on ball every single possession, he was coming off screens, making threes, being a playmaker, getting triple doubles, you've you've woefully
Well,
underestimated
and even Luka
or
Doncic in his
woefully
first year
overestimated.
didn't have the same kind of game that he has now. You're
Agreed, but
expecting
he was
Cooper Flag
averaging
to be
19 and 10.
well, yes,
Like,
but Cooper Flag could still average 19 and 10 in a different role. You're
yeah.
expecting him to do the exact same thing in the day that he steps onto the court, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, through the first 4 games, though, we were expecting probably Cooper Flag to be the Rookie of the Year going into this. I think it's been VJ Edgecombe, the way that he's
For
played
sure.
with this Philadelphia 76ers team. Um, but I would keep an eye on this Mavericks team because I seriously think that there's a potential that they blow this thing up because it's just not working. They're too big. They don't have a traditional point guard. They're not playing well together. Cooper Flag is clearly out of position. And the more that they try and force this to work, the less it's going to, right? They need to score points in order to win, and the fact of the matter is that you have a guy like Ryan Nembhard on your bench who I think could average 10 to 12 assists a game if you really just put him in there and let him play, but he can't defend a paper bag. So like where do you draw the line though? Where do you get Cooper Flag his touches, his minutes, all these types of things because he needs to be on the court to develop, right? But I just don't think he can be a point guard yet.
Absolutely, and you mentioned VJ Edgecombe. He had the most points in an NBA debut since Wilt Chamberlain against the
Yep.
Celtics.
Yep.
34 points, I believe he had. He
Mm-hmm.
does look like the Rookie of the Year favorite, and he looks like he's sliding into this role in the Sixers nicely. And look, Tyler texted me today, and he said the Sixers are the best team in basketball, and we don't even have Paul George and Jared McCain yet. And you know what I told him? I said, I'm so happy that you're thinking this way because that will make the downfall so much sweeter, won't it? Because they're going to downfall, and it's going to be
Yeah.
sweet when it happens. But
Yeah,
I
with
agree.
Joel,
I think VJ Edgecombe's been very good so far this year, and he does look like the Rookie of the Year favorite. So I'm going to ask you, true or false, VJ Edgecombe's the Rookie of the Year favorite?
right now.
Yeah.
True. I think so. And I also think that with this Philadelphia 76ers team, like first and foremost, it's always going to be about the health of Joel Embiid. That will be their ceiling. And second, Tyrese Maxey has been an MVP candidate through 4 games, the way that he's played. So can they continue to realize that potential? Those types of things are all going to be questions going down the line. A really convincing win against the Knicks the other night, who are supposed to be like we had both these teams ranked as contenders for the NBA or for the Eastern Conference. It seems like those things are going to ring true. But yeah, I would keep an eye on this Philadelphia 76ers team. And if nothing else, like this rookie class so far has performed incredibly well, right? At least the top 4 picks have.
For sure.
Cooper Flag, despite all the issues, he's still averaging like 16 points a game. And like you can see the defensive potential, the versatility, all these things. You're expecting and you're hoping that he continues to realize his potential as they go on. The number 2 overall pick, you have Dylan Harper, who's looked like he's pretty good in that role in San Antonio, despite having a few, early game woes in this first NBA debut. Like he's looked like a really solid contributing piece. Then you have VJ Edgecombe, like we just mentioned. He's playing probably the best basketball of anybody from this class so far. And Con Knipple has played really well as well for the Charlotte Hornets team. So, I mean, this draft seems like it's panning out in a really good direction right now. And that's kind of like, what we're expecting. Because this draft going into it, we were like, okay, these guys can really impact the NBA at a high level.
All right, let's run through these last couple true or false. I think I have 6 more for you.
Okay.
Give me your bullet point take, whether it's true or false. True or false, the Washington Wizards are not the worst team in basketball.
True. Brooklyn Nets are the worst team in basketball.
Yes. True or false, and you can give a little bit of insight.
All right.
True or false?
Keyshawn George has looked fantastic for this Wizards team so far. Everybody else is kind of meh. They still have Chris Middleton, but Keyshawn George has been a really good piece for them. I don't know if Alex Sarr is ever going to realize his potential either. I've said that a lot recently, realize the potential, but Keyshawn George is the guy to watch in Washington right now. And, you're hoping that they can potentially build around him and he can continue to have the production that he's had. But this Brooklyn Nets team is just awful. They're just so bad. They're so bad.
True or false, Giannis is an early MVP favorite.
True. He has played fantastic basketball so far. We talked about the Giannis wants out tier as like a little bit of a fun one. I'm expecting that probably will continue to pan out as the season goes on. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, just the way that he's been playing so far, it's been like he has put the team on his back. He had 37, 8, and 7 last night. And then the next highest scorer was 25 points for Ryan Rollins, right? A
I
guard out
believe
of
that's his
Toledo.
first game with less than 15 rebounds this season, too.
Yep. So he is playing with absolutely no supporting cast. Can he keep that up? Only time will tell. But like right now, he is clearly the number one player in the NBA, and my MVP candidate after 4 games.
True or false? White boys are back in the NBA.
White boys are back. White boys are back. Lauri Markkanen dropped 50 for the Utah Jazz. Another team that surprised me a little bit in the way that they've played so far. They're sitting at 2-1. They've had some convincing wins here. Lauri Markkanen is looking like his all-star self from 2 seasons ago so far. Walker Kessler continues to impress me, another white boy. And then obviously Austin Reeves had 50 the other night, coming off of a game where the Lakers didn't have LeBron or Luka. Luka had 49 2 nights ago, right? So these teams, they are talented, and it seems like white boys are back in the NBA right now, which is pretty cool to see.
True or false? The Warriors' unction is rolling and look like a top 6 team in the West.
I'm going to give a hesitant true here. I think that the unction is working out at the moment. I don't necessarily know how this team is going to look in 15 games. Jonathan Kuminga's looked really good for this team so far, which isn't something that I necessarily expected considering all of the issues in the offseason that he had with getting re-signed and all these things. Will those raise some question marks, some eyebrows potentially? But so far they've looked like a really good team and they're clicking, and obviously Steve Kerr at the helm is going to, make you a good and contending team. So can they stay healthy is probably the biggest thing for the unction.
True or false? The Bulls will be the most fun team in the NBA this year.
I think that's false, but I think the Bulls are fun. I think Matas Buzelis coming off the bench is a fun player. They have some pretty good pieces on this team. They probably will sneak into the play-in if I had to guess. But yeah, it's a very balanced attack from this team. I mean, a lot of young guys who could potentially make an impact, could potentially have bad games. Like Ayo Dosunmu led them in scoring the other night. No one saw that coming. You know what I mean? If you think it's fun like I do to watch Patrick Williams and Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis play basketball, then you're gonna like the Chicago Bulls. But I gotta be honest with you. I think that this Charlotte Hornets team and this Sacramento Kings team are probably the 2 most fun teams in the NBA, despite the fact that they're probably going to be worse than the Bulls.
They are fun. They're super fun to watch.
Super
Alex,
fun.
I'm super excited about this. We're doing our first week of NBA picks, and it's a format that is new to us. It's new to you. We're going to kind of work out the kinks, but I'm super excited to do it for the first time. And here's how it's going to work. I've got a wheel, and I'll pull that wheel up right now. Hold on.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm at the edge of my seat, dude. You're going to have to explain the whole format to me. I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. So
you should see a spinning.
Perfect.
Hold on.
Got it.
Reloading the page.
Okay.
I've got a wheel of NBA teams here. I am going to spin the wheel 8 times, a total of 8 times.
Okay.
When the wheel is spun, you can select one player from that team and place them in one of 4 tiers: points, assists, rebounds, or superflex, where all of their statistics will count for that week.
Okay.
Once a team has been spun, it will be taken off the wheel, so you can't get the same team twice.
Okay.
Let's say I spin the wheel and I get the New Orleans Pelicans. And for the Pelicans, I want to take Zion Williamson under my points tier.
Mm-hmm.
For every game that they play for that week, I will take his points. I will take the sum of his points, and I will add them up, and I will do the same for each of the 4 position groups.
Got it.
And the sum of all of those tiers will be your score for that week.
Okay. So it's kind of like fantasy basketball.
It's kind of like fantasy basketball. Basically, I'm spinning a wheel, and from the team that you get, you will be able to take one player and put them into one of those 4 statistical categories.
Okay.
You have first pick for NFL. I'm going to give you first pick for NBA as well. Here we go. We're spinning the wheel.
Let's do it.
Spinning the wheel.
So you think Superflex is probably the most valuable?
Superflex is definitely the most valuable. Your first team is the Philadelphia 76ers.
I'm going to take Tyrese Maxey's points.
All right, my first team. Spin that wheel, baby. The wheel is fair and the wheel is just.
Ooh.
There it is. And to be honest with you, wasn't hoping I would get the Pelicans. I am going to take Zion Williamson's points.
Okay.
All right, here you go.
I feel like you got to keep the Superflex option open. Utah Jazz. I'm going to take Walker Kessler rebounds.
That feels like the right move there. Feels like the right move. Spin that wheel, baby. San Antonio.
Oh, my God.
There it is. I'm taking Victor Wembanyama at my Superflex.
Yeah, that's a good pick. So does Superflex get every statistical category? Is it only...
It does not include blocks and steals. Unless you want to, we could include blocks and steals. Again, we're working out the kinks.
No, not this week.
Yeah, let's do points, assists, rebounds this week.
Okay.
All right, your next player comes from...
Assist is a tough one, dude.
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Is Darius Garland playing?
I don't think so.
I
we
don't
can get
think
eyes
so
on that.
either.
He is not playing.
Okay. So I have Superflex and I have assists left for this team here. I think I gotta go with assists. I'm gonna take Lonzo Ball and leave the Superflex open.
He's been averaging 6 assists a game, so it's not the worst pick.
I'm gonna leave the Superflex open and hope that you get like a Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Superflex.
My next team comes from the Miami Heat. I'm going to take Bam Adebayo rebounds.
Yeah, that's the right pick. It's the right pick in my opinion. All right, I got my Superflex open. This is the player that I'm going to need to really hammer it home. I mean, there are a few teams that I'm looking at.
I mean, Superflex, you can take anyone. You can take someone from any team, really. Dallas Mavericks.
The right answer is Anthony Davis.
It is. It's the right answer.
I don't want Anthony Davis on my team. I'm going to take Anthony Davis. Sure, why not? Superflex, Anthony Davis.
It's the right pick.
Not a triple-double guy, but we'll take it.
It's the right pick. And I have only assists left, so please give me someone good. They will come from the Charlotte Hornets. I'll take LaMelo Ball.
Yep. All right, so both the Ball brothers are out there this weekend. All right, remind me of who you got on your team there.
I have Zion Williamson for points. I have LaMelo Ball for assists, Bam Adebayo for rebounds, and Wemby in my Superflex.
All right, this week I got Tyrese Maxey's points, Lonzo Ball's assist, Walker Kessler's rebounds, and Anthony Davis is my Superflex.
All right, and I believe that will do it for this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with more NFL and NBA content, and we'll be wrapping up the World Series. Next week's going to be a big one. This week's a big one, and I think we're going to have a string of big episodes here. But until then, as always, thank you for listening. This has been The Corner Office, and I'm Jack Byrne.
I'm Alex Penders.
Cowboys.